Millionaires of Reddit, how did you become so wealthy? I live in Eastern Europe. In 1990 I took out a huge loan and bought 10 apartments and furnished them. I rent them out to people, and with the money I earn from them I pay off the loan payments. I do this every 10 years. I have now 30 apartments and one employee who I pay to maintain them and make sure payments and maintenance is handled. The key is finding good tenants and maintaining a good relationship with them. It is not that hard, but a key to this strategy. How do you take out huge loans without any securities? Though? Sure. This plan will work once you have your first few apartments. But how do you get there in the first place? You can have a cosigner when you start out and start smaller, i.e., 2 or 3 apartments. And once you have the apartments you can also use them as security towards future loans without a cosigner. It would depend on what country you live in. Another important advice about this plan: do not go extravagant in the apartments. You do not need to buy a luxury apartment. The more you spend, the longer you will wait on a return of investment and more risk that a potential bad tenant will damage your property. In my 20s, I was a computer programmer just as the web started exploding in popularity. I could wire up websites and databases back when internet technologies were new. And tooling was still primitive. I never hit it big with a viral website like Facebook or Amazon. But I did charge a lot for programming services. And I used that money to buy houses at first. And ultimately an apartment building in coastal California. In my 40s now. I don't feel very wealthy really. Oddly. I still check prices when shopping. And I plan to drive my old Jeep until it dies. When I travel, I often pay to fly first class. And I do enjoy the nicer hotels. But, other than that, I live and spend rather simply. Goodreads continues to spend 97% of free time browsing internet and spending my extra $100 a month on fast food and video games. Honestly, it's not so bad living this way. I'm not a millionaire. Or even rich. And I don't have big dreams or ambition. But I'm so fucking happy with my life. I go to work, study in college, and then chill at home with video games and free time. This is important. Saying money can't buy happiness is somewhat naive, but it's important to remember that there are different ways to be happy. Life is about deciding how you want to spend your time. If playing video games every day makes you happier than taking a nice vacation once a year or living in a nicer home, then that's what you should do. Well, last year my fiance's grandparents won a stupid amount of money in the lotto, double-digit millions. They were generous enough to share with the family. I grew up below the poverty line, so my life is nuts RN. I enlisted in the army when I was 18. I liked it. I asked to become an officer. And they let me. The army sent me to college and I graduated. My officer pay was way higher, and in the army you don't have very many bills. I found I could save in between 1k and 5k every month of my life. After my second deployment I was sitting on about 200k. I hired a financial manager. He did well a few years. I bought and rented out a couple houses. I've got 17 years in the army. Creeping closer to a portfolio worth $2 million and a good pension in retirement. I'm about to make lieutenant colonel. I'm in my late 30s. Just grind and save. Edit. Gold. Thanks. I should add that this job really sucks and I hate it a lot of the time. But due to the peaks and valleys of monetary motivation I have to do it for a few more years. Always saved up a lot of money, 40% of my pay, and continually put it into stocks. Investment returns have outdone my savings for quite a while. How do you know which stocks to invest in? I've invested since I was 18. I have a degree in economics and deep interest in the markets. But honestly I don't know anything. I have a diversified portfolio of 10 different stocks in different fields. Theory says that's too little. But I don't care. The different stock is all listed on the most traded index in my country. I come from Denmark. So it's the OMXC20 index. The thing is, Stocks in general increase in value over time. Sure, some of my stocks are in red, but most are in black. Some drop 30%. Others gain 40%. But year on year, my portfolio increases about the market average of 7%. That's including years of financial turmoil, financial crisis. In my opinion, the worst you can do with your money is to not invest it. Being frugal. Not buying new cars. Not caring about what others think. Saving and investing and doing it again. Not making knee-jerk investments. Letting them ride long term and not freaking out at every market correction. For me it was a slow game, but fun to watch it take off. You logs. Guess that's how you bought your GF. Converted all of my money into Zimbabwean dollars. I actually hit big at a casino a while back. Not enough where I can afford to quit my job and buy a mansion. But I'm comfy and so will my son be. What game? Blackjack got me most of it. It wasn't 20 mil or anything. Barely 2 after an entire night of luck on what was one of the worst days of my life upon entering the casino. Through hard work and perseverance I established a reputation for honesty and competence. I was slowly promoted to increasing positions of responsibility and remuneration. I saved prodigiously and invested wisely. I married well to someone with similar values. I used to run an apple cart in New York City. Would buy an apple for 5C and sell it for 10C. Did this for 20 years. Then my wife's father died and left us a chain of hotels. I am on track of being a millionaire by just investing in my 401k. I started my career at 20 years old right after graduating from college and started investing the minimum to my 401k. Never really thought much of it until I did those calculators and realized that since I started so young the compound interest on any investment account with a decent return would be huge. I would recommend you just put anything away. Everyone tells you to max your investments, but honestly not everyone can invest $18k a year. Do the math of how much $200 a month will grow in 30 years. This might not be the exact answer, but this will easily get you to be a millionaire at some point. Not there yet, but getting there. STEM degree for both wife and I. I bag my lunch and drink from water fountain. I eat out with co-workers maybe once a month. Fill up my trusty clean canteen bottle daily with the free ice from cafeteria and water from the water fountain. In my lower 30s right now. Have a $500 K-house. Bought 2 years ago. About 40% paid off. Hope to pay it off completely well before I turn 40. Currently about $350 K in bank between liquid and stocks. Currently driving a 9-year-old Scion. Wife has a 13-year-old Camry. Daughter's toys are from the thrift store. Haven't had cable TV ever. Love Costco and Walmart. Love looking at deal sites. That doesn't mean we do not enjoy life. We've been backpacking in Europe. Have visited Dubai, Bahamas, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, Vegas numerous times, Canada numerous times. Going to Cali in less than a month. My philosophy is this. You get rich by acting poor in things that really don't please your heart. We like traveling, so we do that. I like photography, so I have a DSLR. Wife likes nail polish, so she has like a big box full of them. I don't care much about food, so I bag it and we rarely eat out. Same with our cars. Live simply. Invest and spend wisely. Love unconditionally. My first million was the hardest to attain. It took me a good 10 to 15 years to find the perfect bank near the highway. A safe cracker that's not a complete fucking idiot. And an inside man that's not going to fold under a little bit of stress. Once I got my perfect team, getting the million was easy. The second was easier now that I got some experience under my belt. This might not seem like the obvious path, but I approached a few of the wealthier individuals I found on my social media and pitched them my company idea. See, the movie Wolf of Wall Street taught to me never spend your own money when you can spend someone else's. I then created an internet startup company that specialized in dog fart collection. I am not a millionaire. At last. My time to shine. I was never too good in school. Could read and write and do basic maths but nothing more. I did really enjoy woodworking though and anything using my hands. I left school as soon as I could as I wanted to leave home. Lived in pretty shitty places just upping by on pretty much minimal wage working retail and hospitality until a mate of mine said I could probably make money on the side with my woodworking. He'd seen bits and pieces I'd made around the house. There was no Etsy back then so I had to do most of my stuff without any research as to what people would like and then try to hawk it via classified and cards in local shops. I couldn't believe it when my first piece sold even though for the time I'd spent making it I hadn't even made minimum wage. However, I kept at it and made a variety of ornaments which people liked and then started doing commissions. Things got bigger and I could quit my shitty job to do it full time. Within a couple of years of selling my first piece I was getting more requests than I could fulfill but still only making an okay living out of it. About 3 years to the day from my first ever sale I actually had a motorbike accident and lost the use of my left hand. Fortunately not my dominant hand. I decided to try and get a couple of the local homeless guys to help out and provide them with meals and a share of the sale prices. Obviously this meant we could make and I could sell many more pieces but I actually found I was making less money once stuff was split up. And to add insult to injury a couple of the guys ripped me off and stole a lot of my stuff. I was back at square one. I decided to move back into making more basic pieces that would be quicker and simpler and that's when my mum died and left me $1 million. I was born. It all came from my parents. I get a lot of crap from my friends in college lol. My parents on the other hand went from living in lower middle class India, born in late 50s so basically studying hard and family bonds were what kept them going. Came to California for masters and PhD. And worked for massive tech companies for about 30 years. My dad went up to executive director or something. They invested a lot of money and bought houses in India and rented them out. The house they bought here in California went from $1 meter to about $3. 5 meters. Is millionaire defined by assets? Because I just qualify based on the value of my property but I'm shitty poor in terms of cash flow. I have always been very frugal and save significantly more than anyone else I know. Bought a property at the age of 23 which appreciated in value by a significant amount. However, I am just barely paying off the loan so I'm poor as fuck. Self-made. Cracked the first $1 million just after 33 sometime. Then the next few came quickly. The best advice is to build capital early. I scrimped and saved and had my first car till I was 30 and it totally shat itself. Didn't waste money on holidays or any expenditure that wasn't 100% necessary. Holidays consisted just of time of work and going to beach or doing fun free things. So once I had a little nest egg $10k I got a house and every time I had a spare $50 put it against the mortgage. Then every time I got a pay rise the difference went to the mortgage. Not to increase in lifestyle. I'm 45 now and saving becomes less of a priority as the base capital is there. I can spend every cent I earn and my base will still increase. Summary. Get saving early. What car and what clothes you wear don't change who you are. We got some advice here for the UK. Lots of 401k talk. Which isn't all that useful over here. Save and invest. 401k is just a vehicle, albeit a nice tax deferred vehicle. And has a maximum annual contribution of something like $18,000 anyway. What exactly is a millionaire? $1 million in net wealth? Or $1 million in cash? Or $1 million in assets or a combo of? In horse. Given your average house in a city is now worth half to 3/4 of $1 million. And I guess that makes me a millionaire if I exclude the mortgage on the investment property. Assets minus liabilities. If you own 2 houses that are worth $500k with no mortgage, you are a millionaire. If you own 2 houses worth $500k with $500k mortgages, you are worth $0. Semi-real answer. By risking my marriage and everything I owned to do work that did not pay but was interesting, and finally convincing that changing the way they did stuff was wrong, or at least more expensive. TLDR. Anyone who bought a house at the right time became a millionaire. Anyone who makes a shit-ton and hoards money became a millionaire. Anyone who became the 1 in 1 million who ran a successful business became a millionaire. If you're in a field without a well-paying job, you're out of luck. And if you didn't buy a house at the right time, you're out of luck. Your only chance is to start a business and hope you make it successful. But if you fail, you'll get a shit-ton of debt. Get out of and stay out of debt. Live within your means and spend, save, give your money on purpose. Make and stick to a budget planned ahead of time. Save for retirements from your very first job. Work every job with excellence and look for ways to go above and beyond to serve others. And you'll be rewarded with raises and more opportunities to do so with more responsibility. Started buying multifamily real estate in central Chicago in 2011. Have been selling since last year. At one point I had 15 buildings with 65 apartments in them. The few buildings I have left are worth about $2 million and I have over $250,000 in cash in my savings. Prices were so ridiculous in the recession that I was able to turn $5,000 in savings and a lot of sweat equity into what I have now. I bought my first building with an FHA loans for $130K in Logan Square. It was 3 units and I put $5,000 down. It's now worth $400K. Then has saved up the income from that property and bought a 6 unit for $50K that's now worth $350K. I then picked up another 6 flat for free because the city was going to force the bank to demolish it. Borrowed against the equity in my other properties to do a total gut rehab of it. Now the building is worth $1 million and generates $10,000 cash flow every month. I live frugally as well. When my old car died I bought a 2-year-old Honda with 25,000 miles on it. I still live in the first property I bought. My hobbies are ones that are only expensive if you don't have the time to take advantage of them. I buy a ski pass and ski 4 weeks a year. The pass costs $600. But I can get thousands of dollars worth of skiing out of it since my job is mainly collecting passive income. I'm only 29, so my plan is to just slowly add to my portfolio while letting the few buildings I haven't sold off burn off principal. I'm basically semi-retired and have been for 3 years. I basically kept the same habits I had when my income was $12K a year for a family of 3. I make coffee at home. I still forage for food. I still shop at thrift shops for clothing. My car is 14 years old and I try not to use it if I can use my bicycle instead, including biking to work when I wasn't carpooling. Even when I was a single mom on $28K salary I put what I could in my 401K and every raise I got went to that till I at least got the full employer match. When I got a new job and found out there was no similar retirement plan there, I met with the directors and a financial advisor and got one in place. I make my own laundry detergent and use cloth wipes napkins. I spend about $20 a week for 2 adults for food. Yesterday I really wanted an orange but didn't take it from the fridge because I paid for those for my husband's packed lunches. And pears from the yard are free. Oranges travel better in his bicycle bag so they are for him. Pears from the yard have occasional spots that need to be cut out so they are for me because I retired last year and he has another year or 2 to go. It's easier to cut off bad spots when you are at home in your own kitchen. I am so tired of pears. Though. I have $1 million but I won't eat an orange if I have a free pear. On the one hand, that's pathetic. On the other hand, that's why I have $1 million and don't have to go to work anymore. Saving. Investing. Not wasting my money buying every new piece of crap to keep up with the Joneses. Don't gamble. Don't waste your money, period. Keep track of everything you spend money on and see how much is wasted on trivial things you don't need. Eat out less. As earlier posted. Knowledge is key. Learn basic finances and keep learning. 1. Max out your 401k savings and any company matching too. If you buy a house, get a 15-year mortgage. 3. Only buy used cars and drive them until the wheels come off. 4. When you move out of your first house, turn it into a rental and incorporate. The tax benefits alone are huge. 5. Limit what you buy. Junk accumulates. When you do buy, spend more on quality. Buy it for life. 6. Invest and diversify. Index funds. Rental properties. iShares. 7. Be very patient. Wealth takes time. 8. The best time to start saving was 10 years ago. The second best is today.